Hey boys and girls, it's KnightStalker here. Welcome along today to my Longsword build guide. Check it out. So it's now the 17th of May, season 11, and that's with the current date for this guide. So I'm going to go over a few things today. I just want to preface it all with why do people choose Longsword as a weapon? I hated Longsword when I first chose it because it felt like I was coming to hit with a wet noodle. I do an average of about 100,000 damage now with the Longsword, just the hero. And you compare that to some of the other weapons like the glaives and the mauls and the pikes that do several 100,000 damage in a game. This class is not about doing damage, right? You can build this class to be a damage Longsword, but it's not a damage class. It's you make a hybrid Longsword that's not good at either. It's still not good at damage, and it's still not good, and then it also won't be good at its result, its own purpose. So what is the purpose of a Longsword? To get hit in the face a whole bunch. You want to be in the front line. You want to be absorbing damage that would have otherwise gone on your troops or to your friendly heroes. You want to be drawing the fire of archers and gunners using your shield. You want to be holding the capture points for as long as possible. And these are all the things that Longsword are good at. The bonuses of Longswords are that it's very, very tough. It heals very, very quickly and regularly. It has a very large shield that covers a large portion of the character's body, pretty much from forehead to shins. Believe it or not, you can still shoot them in the feet and the very tippy top of their head if you're good. But that shield covers a lot more than what it actually appears to cover. What else is Longsword good at? Supporting, causing mass CC with its ult. What are the things that Longsword is not good at? Longsword is not good at doing damage. Longsword is got very limited CC options. It is very poor in hero versus hero combat, but it will almost never die against those heroes. One of the other good things about Longsword is a very agile class. You might think, oh, big plate armor, huge shield, big clunky and slow to move. It's actually a very, very fast and very, very agile class. A lot of roll spam and things like that to keep out of the way of the enemy. It is a very good class, but it is not about dealing damage. So if you really want to deal damage, well, play pike, play maul. Alright, so without further ado, let's go and have a look at what Longsword is all about. So, let's talk about armor. So, this is leadership. If you didn't know, items of armor can have a random stat if the player crafted. That is called leadership, and that leadership stat has a maximum of 25 per piece on all of your 4 armors. So that is the primary thing that I'm going for as a Longsword, and because you're a support unit, right? You want more units to support. But generally speaking, just about all classes, unless you're hyper-focusing damage, really want this leadership stat. It's almost certainly the best stat in the game. One other thing before we really get underway is, am I the best Longsword player in the world? Absolutely not. But I am a daily player. This is my YouTube channel. Welcome along. You can see I have literally hundreds of videos playing Longsword, and I have thousands of hours in this game. So even though I'm not the best in the world, I'm certainly able to tell you what's what with this class. Also, if you have some other ideas about Longsword, please put them in the comment below. Be respectful, man, because nobody likes a dick, so be respectful. Tell me if you disagree with me. What do you like about this class? So, back to the armor. So you want to make the Guardsman set. The Guardsman set is either created by using blue schematics at the blacksmith, or you can also get it from the Fame store, so the guy where you hand in bits every week to get up the scale to buy Fame stuff like the gold artillery and things that you can buy, and all of the cosmetics. That person there is currently the Felwan Knight. That's where you hand them in, and you can get the Frost Steel or the Link is the other set, and those are also Guardsman sets, but they do something slightly different. The full Guardsman set increases maximum health by 5%, see 2 pieces there, and if you've got all 4 pieces, it will also increase piercing, slashing and blunt defense by 120 each. That is perfect. That is the 2 things you want most as a Longsword: health and armor. All else apart from leadership is kind of like secondary. The pieces of armor I've got, not too bad. I prefer more goldy bits, but fact is that's what you get when you're rolling the leadership ones. I'm not going to throw these pieces out with their high leadership just because they don't have more health on them, right? But that's what that is. So let's talk about runes. This is my rune build for the sword itself. The alternate I might use is this one here. See, with Clash of Shields, you get 50% reduced damage taken for 5 seconds. You can charge into the front of a braced Fortebraccio pike unit using that Clash of Shields rune. It's very, very good because then, of course, you disrupt the whole unit of pikes and they get jumped on and killed. The other thing you can do with it, for example, is if you're being charged by a unit of hussars or a unit of monastics or a unit of, well, any cavalry at all, really, you trigger the Clash of Shields skill, and as long as you have this rune, you just smash straight into the front of that cavalry charge and you walk away afterwards and the cavalry charge is completely stopped instantly. So it's a very, very good rune, and it's my favourite of the ones. The other one is Shared Fate, or it might be called something different on your server, but it increases the damage reduction of nearby allies by 6% for 8 seconds, and that's both with Mercy of Heaven, the healing spell, and Knightly Vows, which is the speed spell, which we'll talk about soon. The natural ability of Mercy of Heaven is to give you a 3% melee damage reduction, 15% for 3 seconds. This one here is not melee solely, it's everything, so this one will also reduce damage from ranged. All the damage ones, we're not interested in damage at all. So that's where that is. Let's have a look then at the helmet. So what I'm doing here with the helmet is I've got increased health by 3% and increased health, because toughness is health, by 3%. The other options that you might be able to come up with, let's have a look here. You could use these single ones if you like. Critical defense, that's very useful against, like, I don't know, things that are shooting you with criticals, bows particularly, muskets particularly. Bandaging, you don't really want any bandaging stuff because you're getting all of your health back very quickly and very regularly anyway from your healing skill, Mercy of Heaven. Increased health, not bad. I would consider that one, and that one you don't want at all because you're recovering health very quickly and regularly anyway. So that's what I'm using with that. So the body armor, I've chosen the damage taken is reduced by 5% and then a bonus if you die for your friends, because I don't want bandage. 5% damage reduction is better than 300 health and 10 armor, trust me, I've done the maths. Full damage, you're already a meat tank anyway, so you don't generally die from falling as much as you might think, or with other classes, because you have a hit point. I think I've got a hit point pool of just shy of 33,000, okay, so you can take a lot of full damage. Instead of taking reduced damage from units by 7%, I've taken the reduced damage by 5% from all sources. Resilience is pretty good. That is actually armor, so that would give you more, and we'll talk about why that might be good soon. You've got a couple of these as well. And the braces, I didn't do the boots. So damage taken from rear attacks and headshots is reduced by 15%. The reason I take this is because muskets hurt, especially if they're an agility build at point blank and they're shooting you in the face. Repeated hits by bows, so both the type of bows, is also very killer. But the biggest thing you'll find with this one is that people will knock you down and then they'll walk behind you and start wailing on you from behind, and you'll take a lot of damage. You spend a fair bit of time on the ground when you're a frontline hero, so that is why I've chosen this one. Movement speed is kind of okay. You know, you've got 2 movement speeds here. We don't want any sort of damage because we're a longsword. Bandages are relevant to us because we're a longsword. That is extra armor penetration, and that is extra armor penetration and a little bit of armor as well. So these are the ones I've taken. More health and reduced damage from headshots and rear attacks. So the braces, there are no real good options for the longsword. We don't want damage. We don't go out of our way to kill soldiers. We don't want damage. You don't kill heroes with your sword very often. You kill them with your units typically. We don't want more damage. So, well, I've got it because what are my options, right? But this is what I've ended up with. No real good options for the longsword on the braces. So, when you're first starting out, your first few hundred levels, so level 200, 300, 400, 500, you want to take armor. You want to dump it all into armor, especially if you can get over this a base about 800, 850 maybe, that will really stack your armor. And the reason you want to do that early game is because all of the units, and typically the heroes as well, will be doing quite low damage. Sorry, quite low penetration. And when you start seeing a lot more gold units, or when most of the battle is gold and purple units, that's the sort of point that I would start switching into toughness, because later on with Shenji Grenadiers and Tercios and Javelins and Iron Reapers and Silidars, these things just cut you through your armor like butter. So particularly as your health, your toughness scales off your healing, which we'll talk about soon in the skills, toughness is really where it's at for me in the late game. So don't forget, this is my build. You might want to do a little bit something different as well. So I'm just telling you why and how I do what I'm doing. There we are. Oh, we've got a little over 33,000 hit points. There we go. Looks like I've taken some damage in town. I'm very special to be able to do that. Let's talk about the sword. So the longsword's abilities do all three types of damage, usually within one single combo. What I find to do the most damage, well, I'll talk about blunt first. If you want your blunt damage and a penetration up to the point where you can kill a 2,000 hit point archer with your Clash of Shields ult, if you're using Clash of Shields, you can just zoom through a unit of archers and kill them all as you go. Once you reach that point, which I am without boosting now, you want to put more damage into your slashing armor penetration, because that's where most of your heavy hits come from. And I say use the term heavy hits loosely, because you're not a heavy hitter. Piercing armor penetration, usually there's one attack inside your combo that will have piercing, including your auto attack combo, your just left click combo. And also when you're holding block, so with your right click you can hold block and your shield will come up and block you. If you left click as well, you'll do a little overhand slash, so you can attack while blocking the shield. It's the only class in the game that can do that, but it does very low damage, and really increasing your piercing is not going to help that in any way. So slashing armor penetration is where most of your damage is going to come from, even though your skills tend to use all three. Skills. So let's start with the very obvious one, Mercy of Heaven. This is a mandatory skill for Longsword. If you are not using this skill, you are using Longsword wrong. No ifs, no buts, no maybes. This is a mandatory skill for Longsword. It's the entire purpose of the class. So it restores 2% of your health every second for 10 seconds. That's 20%. And an extra 5% health every 3 seconds. That's another 15%, right? So we're up to 35% health. It will immediately restore 10% of your health. You're now up to 45% health every 20 seconds, right? As a cooldown is 20 seconds. It restores the health of nearby enemy units over time. It's not telling you what those stats are, so I'm going to. It's 1% per second for 10 seconds. So it's a 10% heal over 10 seconds for nearby allies. And that doesn't sound like much until you're standing in the middle of 3 units and they're all injured. You pop this skill, right? And you're going to return, if there's 25 guys per unit and they have about 10,000 hit points, you're going to be restoring every 20 seconds 75,000 hit points to your team. Capiche? Also heals other heroes, also heals horses. So, and the third effect is it grants 15% melee damage reduction for 3 seconds when cast. And you might think, 3 seconds, whatever. But picture this. Your Iron Reapers are in combat with their Iron Reapers, right? You're fighting, and you pop this. So let's put the healing aside for a moment. For the next 3 seconds, your Iron Reapers take 15% less melee damage. Whose Iron Reapers win? Plus you get a healing on top. This skill is fantastic. It is one of the best skills in the game. And it's just the whole purpose of the Longsword. It is the only magic in the game. There's no other magic. It's the only one. So let's start back here with Valor. This is your primary damage skill. Out of all of your skills with a reasonable cooldown, 16 seconds in this case, this is the one that does the most damage, and it's the one that I virtually always use. I can't imagine making a build without this with Valor. It does a couple of slashes, a backhand, another slash, and then a kick. Now all of those attacks can be separately targeted. So you move your mouse, so if you pan 180 degrees, you can start slashing behind you. The kick at the end not only knocks people down, but it will also dismount people if you can time it well enough, which is quite tricky, let me tell you, but it actually does a dismount. And yeah, most longswords will use this skill. I can't imagine why you wouldn't. This is the primary one for me. So this is mandatory. This is the core damage skill. So really you've got an alt and one other skill, in my opinion. If you're going to build your longsword, here's what you want. Paladin has a couple of wide slashes, but it's very long. It's about 2.5 second animation, and it doesn't do a lot of damage. It reduces the target's defense by 15%. Now, that's not that great, right? So the way that in the later tiers that the combat works is not many people get away on very low health. Typically, they get ganked, or they get CC'd and murdered, or they just get chipped away over time. You don't typically get people who get away, per se. So reducing the target's defense by 15% is really not going to help you super much. A light armor user, it's irrelevant to them. A medium armor user, it's almost pretty irrelevant. And, let's call it 1,000 armored longsword, which is what will happen if you dump all of your stats into armor. Well, now they've got 850 and they're still super tanky. And it's almost irrelevant on units, let me tell you. This is not a good skill. It used to be once upon a time because it had a different effect, but now it's kind of dead. I can't see a purpose to using this skill. Let's talk about martial prowess. Martial prowess is still a good skill, particularly early on. It does a couple of quick slashes. It's quite a fast skill, and any units hit by that will just cringe away for a second and not be able to attack for a moment, and pushes them back slightly too, which is kind of understated with this. The extra effect restores 3% of health. What it doesn't tell you is it does 3% of health, and it's capped at 4 per hit, capped at 4. 2 for the first swing, 2 for the second swing. It's been changed a couple of times. It might actually be 3 per slash, but let's call it 2 for now. It's not a skill I use anymore because I've moved on from this skill. So you're going to get 3 times 4 is 12% of your hit points back every 10 seconds, right? Really good one to start with, especially because even though it doesn't do a lot of damage in low tiers, you're still going to, they're only lighter units. They're not very armored. So it's a really good skill early on to keep you alive, particularly while you're learning the class. So I recommend this one if you're a lower tier or just starting the class. Nightly Vows. It looks good on the surface. Increase your speed by 25% for 9 seconds. It removes concussed effect. There are almost nothing that produces the concussed effects. Very, very few things in the game produce that effect. It's not worth worrying about. The only real use of this skill is to, let's say you've got javelins. You can cast it on your javelins, pop them out and throw javelins and pop back in quicker. Whether it'll be enough, who knows. Or you could use it to send the javelins back to the supply point. If you're sick of your Iron Reapers being super slow, or your Imperial Pike Guard, Pike Guard could be a little bit nasty, you can pop the skill and send it out. In random sieges, this skill is virtually useless because it requires team play unless you're using something like, javelins. I don't recommend it. It sounds good. It really isn't. I don't know anyone who uses this skill. I know one person who uses a skill. You know who you are. You're wrong. You're wrong. Fight me. Anyway, it's a terrible skill in my opinion, and I don't use it. Shield Bash. Now this is the one I'm using now in higher tier because lately, in the last few months, the CC, so all the knockdowns and the interfering with your movement and things, crowd control, has escalated. And this will remove dazed and knockdown. Dazed is the effect that you get when you get hit by an auto attack, so just a left click attack. Knockdown is when somebody jumps off their horse and lands on you, or a whole bunch of skills also cause knockdown. It will only protect you from about 1/3 of the type of close combat. But once you understand which of those attacks cause the effects that you can recover from, it's very strong. Because what you can do is, in my case it's Q, I can hit Q, and before the attack even triggers, I can roll away. So I hit Q and double tap backwards, and I will get off the ground and roll backwards immediately. Or you can double tap Q and then launch straight into your Vith Valor. One of the things that I like about this that sort of just edges it out over the martial prowess is that it actually wrecks blocks. Imperial, have a couple of slash at an Imperial Spear Guard and then hit this, and it will probably break their block. I don't think it'll break Grandpa's. It won't break buffed Imperial Spears. But any hero that doesn't have a shield, so not longsword, not short sword, this would typically immediately break their block. So it's actually quite good in that respect too. And the second strike knocks enemies back. That's a lot less effect than what it looks like from this little video. It's very, very small and really not worth worrying about. It hardly does anything. So that's the two things I like about it. It keeps you alive because you can get up off the ground quickly once you understand which of the effects has any effect on it. And also it smashes through blocks really nicely. Again, you can look at, I have like more than 200 videos on YouTube of longsword games. I invite you to go and check how I'm playing those. The ultimates. Sally Forth. Sally Forth is a good skill. It does a lot of damage, and I mean a lot of damage for a longsword particularly, but it's not going to, it's not going to out damage a maul or a glaive or a pike. Never is. And as we've talked about, your skills are not based around doing damage as a longsword. They're about support and units and healing. So even though this is a good skill and it can sort of lock people in place and allow others to jump on them and finish them off, it's not a good skill in my opinion, simply because the alternative skill, sorry, this is a good skill, but the alternative skill is much, much better. So it's a couple of slashes, a couple of bangs, and then you jump on them and bury your sword deep in their chest from a jumping position. It removes daves and knockdown, so very similar to the shield bash, so that can be useful too. It has a very short cooldown for an ultimate at 37 seconds, and it's worth checking out if you've got some spare skill points. You might find it useful, but I don't think it fits with my build, my ethos of how longswords work. Clash of Shields is where it's at, man, especially with that rune we talked about earlier. So you raise a shield and charge. You inflict 201% of your base blunt damage and 1652 points of blunt damage. So as you can imagine, that will typically kill mid to low tier archers. The additional thing is, struck enemies are slowed, so once you knock them down, they're very slow to get back up. So it takes them the full 3 seconds usually to stand back up. It's quite well timed. What it doesn't suggest to you in this picture here is that you can actually control it as you're charging forwards. It's not a directly forward movement. You can move the whole duration of the skill. You can go left, right, you can go downstairs, you can go upstairs, and you can also run around, do it in a circle as well if you're just trying to clear a little area around somebody to help them stand up or something like that. It's a very effective skill. You can face charge cavalry who are charging you and stop the cavalry charge dead. Infantry charges, the same. If you've got an entire line of Imperial Spearguard or other shields, you just go zip down the line of shields and knock every single one of them over. If you jump out from behind a wall and there's 5 enemy heroes there, you turn around and you pop the ult in the opposite direction and you escape with it. If you get jumped on by multiple heroes, you can knock them all down, get on your horse while they're on the floor, and then leave. You can cancel it halfway through the skill by using a roll. So it goes for about 3 seconds, 4 seconds, and after 2 seconds you're done. You can just double tap sideways and you'll roll and stand back up, ready to go again. You can interrupt it immediately if you were to trigger, so you knock this guy down, for example in this little picture here, what that character should be doing is immediately triggering with Valor. So you knock them down and then you hit straight into with Valor. And if you manage to hit a light or medium armor user and they're on half hit points, knocking them over with this skill and then using with Valor and landing all the hits will kill them. So it's about one of the only burst damages that the longsword gets, is to knock them down with this and then smash them with Valor while they're on the floor. So this is my absolute recommendation for the longsword skill. It's much more compatible with the longsword's role than the Sally Forth. So yes, if you're an experienced longsword player, hey man, give us your tips in the comments below. Please be respectful. This is my build and how I play longsword. There are other ways and I respect that. Hopefully you can respect that too. Plus, a lot of new players will watch this video. Hey man, give them your opinion. Tell them what you think. Anyway, boys and girls, that's my longsword build. I hope you learned something new or you just enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for coming to my channel.